Roseanne Barr went on Sean Hannity's show, and she discussed the issue that changed her political views. This is interesting.
Obviously cared enough because you ran for president twice, right? I mean,
yeah.
And obviously you care a lot about these issues, but you're right. Your politics have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And
because I read more.
Like, what changed you? What books? What shifted your political views?
Well, my experience in the Green Party and in socialist parties, I just felt very marginalized there and that I didn't belong because they don't like Israel. And I was like, what? This is the worst place on earth? I've been there. Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, many times.
It's not. It's a wonderful place.
I'm the biggest supporter of Israel on television.
No, you are.
Wow. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because I don't think this is the only person that's happened to. I think that's what happened with Dave Rubin, too. I think he had such a major disagreement on the issue of Israel with other people on the left that he thought that I don't belong here on the left, and then other opinions changed over time as a result of that disagreement. So there's this really interesting video that I'm going to recommend now. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but this was back when Dave Rubin was with TYT, and he was debating Jimmy Dore, Cenk, and Anna about the bomb fest, Netanyahu's bomb orgy that was going on in Gaza at the time. By the way, according to UN numbers, after the fact, we learned that it was over 80% of the people who were killed were civilians, including over 500 children. And Israel bombed hospitals, they bombed schools, they bombed the only power plant in Gaza. So while this was going on, they were debating it, and basically everybody else was like, are you nuts? Look at what's happening here. We know who's to blame. And Dave Rubin was playing defense. And I think that was the beginning of the end in terms of his, identifying with the left. And then that led to, obviously, he became more libertarian, leading classical liberal. And then now he's funded by the Koch brothers, and he does softball interviews all day with extremist right-wing characters. But Roseanne Barr, it looks like a similar thing happened. Because there was a time when she was pretty solidly on the left. And then I guess this issue of Israel then led for her to, over time, distance herself from the left and become eventually a big-time Trump supporter. You know, Dave Rubin said if it was between Donald Trump and Bernie, or Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren, he would vote for Donald Trump. Wow. Talk about a flip in your political identity. Holy shit. I mean, that's at that point, it's almost like a religious conversion. Because it's like, I understand fully, man. Believe me, I understand fully. If you have this political identity and then you find yourself learning and evolving on 2, even 3 issues. Like, let's say you're solidly on the left and then you do more reading and you think, you know what, man? I'm not sure on this abortion one anymore. I think I might lean to the right now. I think I might be more pro-life. Hey, that's part of life. You live, you learn, you grow, and, you change some ideas and part of your philosophy, and that it is what it is. On the issue of guns, I call myself a moderate. I probably think I've grown from... I originally was super libertarian and right-wing on guns when I started, and then I became probably super left-wing, and now I think I'm somewhere in the middle on that. But point is, this is par for the course. You find 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 issues that you evolve on. Okay, fine, that happens. You know what never happens? Here are my, 35 different beliefs on 35 different issues, and now I have the opposite belief on 28 of the 35. That doesn't happen unless you look at politics in like a very religious fundamentalist kind of way where it's like, I am now switching teams. And I think that seems like it's what happened with Roseanne Barr. And by the way, I always found it maddening, the people conflating the criticism that the left makes of Israel with the super far right-wing, like anti-Semitic criticisms of Israel. Like David Duke, for example, is massively anti-Israel. Well, he's anti-Israel and he's anti-Jew because he's an anti-Semite. He was a white supremacist. So he thinks that the Jews control everything in society and that they're an evil force. And, there's this conflation between that kind of criticism with the kind of criticism that comes from like Jeremy Corbyn, which is like, there's this whole scandal now where they're all criticizing Jeremy Corbyn of being an anti-Semite. Why are they criticizing him of being an anti-Semite? I'm not kidding about this. He disagrees with the definition of anti-Semitism where that definition of anti-Semitism tries to silence criticism of Israel. So he's like, I don't agree with that. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not against all Jews, but I am critical of Israel because of how they treat Palestinians, and I'm for Palestinian human rights. And there's this big scandal right now in the UK where they're like, anti-Semite. You're an anti-Semite because you're critical of Israel. And it's like, we're in the fucking twilight zone now, aren't we? And there's a lot of conflation going on between like right-wing criticism, far right, I should be clear, white nationalist, white supremacist criticism of Israel. And by the way, many of them are massively pro-Israel because they like that, it seems like kind of like an ethno-state. You're basing, a state on your identity. We want to do that with white people. So there's some that love them, but I hate the conflation of that far-right criticism of Israel with left-wing criticism of Israel. Because if you listen to anybody on the left give you their criticism of Israel, they're very clear. Hey, what I am against is the fact that there is an apartheid system there. I mean, they just passed a law that said we need more Jewish-only enclaves. Okay, so you're codifying segregation into law. Call it what it is. Imagine in South Africa today a law passes where they're like, it's cool, we're not racist or anything, we just want more white-only enclaves. Everybody would be like, oh, so you're racist. That's what that is. That's segregation. That's what you're doing. Can't call it anything else. That's what it is. So Jewish-only enclaves are not bigoted. They're not discriminatory. That's not an apartheid system. That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what, at least own up to it. If you support it, at least own up to that aspect of it. Yeah, I support it, and that's what that is. So left-wing criticism of Israel's against apartheid. It's against illegal occupation. It's against the expansion of illegal settlements. The fact that they've gone beyond the 1967 borders, and they keep expanding. The criticism from the left against Israel is, hey, Netanyahu, don't do a bomb fest in Gaza where you kill 80% civilians. Don't continue to expand in the West Bank. That's where the criticism is from the left. But that's just like, they swat that aside, or they link it up with, oh, you guys are just anti-Semites like the people on the far right, and it's massively disingenuous. But I find it amazing that this is the issue that has radicalized, effectively, many people. And it's made them go, oh, I don't belong here on the left. And now, I will evolve away from my position believing in like minimum wage laws and basic marketplace regulation like Glass-Steagall. Now I don't believe in that stuff either. And it all started with the disagreement on Israel. What a weird world we live in. I mean, yes, Roseanne, there was a time where she was like maybe an outright socialist, not even just a social democrat. And then now she's a huge Trump cheerleader. In the words of somebody relevant to this conversation, sad,